All right, we'll see how this works out. I think I've got my settings as private here, um, and that's purposeful, okay? Because I'm going to do a live later this afternoon, and that's going to be on parts, okay, that you should keep in your truck, spare parts to keep you going. And so, shed a little light on the subject, and we'll talk about that for just a second. I want you to understand that my position is that if you have to have fuses in your truck, it means you're supposed to be able to work on your truck, right? At least to the point where your ability reaches its end. So, at the very least, you're expected to be able to change fuses in a truck, okay? Fuses will break you down the same as any other part. So that's my purpose for teaching how to work on your truck. That'll be, to me, if you already know that knowledge, the same for you as changing a fuse for most people. So, having said that, this, if you don't know what this is, after my next live, you will. We're going to talk about this kind of stuff that'll keep you broke down on the side of the road, make you have to pay for a wrecker, and you could freeze to death on the side of a mountain if you don't know how to change one of these on a truck. And know that you should keep a spare and some other parts to go with it. So we'll talk about this after I get a chance to go live later. This is just a quick stop off, but it's going to be a good little video for people that are interested in being able to get around. The main thing you want to keep in your truck is one of these. Okay, and people with cars, get a car map. Keep a map. They're free at rest areas for anybody that wants them, but not these. This is a motor carrier's atlas. A regular map doesn't show low bridges and that kind of stuff. You need one of these in a truck. You should know how to use one of these and how to get around and how to plan your trip. However, people are now addicted to GPS, is what I'm going to call it, because you're at the point where it's past just using it. You only use it and you depend on it so much you can't live without it. So you're addicted to GPS. So step one is admit that you have a problem. Step two is to get you a map book. I'm just saying. Step three would be learn how to use it. You need to have a written map, a written set of directions, and you need a map book to know where the low bridges are in your sector, and also to know what truck routes are there, that kind of stuff. So GPS is good, but you will lose it at some point if it goes out or if it's taken out by what I'm fixing to talk about. You need one of these, people. Please get one of these, because I'm telling you, the day you need this, there'll be a run on these things, like a run on the bank at the truck stops. You won't be able to find one of these, and they'll be selling them for $50 a pop in the parking lot. Somebody's old rolled up burrito, what I call a burrito, because they get used, and you see even the corner of this one's a little bent, but we turn the pages and they get to be, it'll be rolled up like this, and you'll be paying whatever the guy wants for it, and it'll have 1,000 markings in it wherever places he's been. Get you a motor carrier's atlas now. I mean, this is a 2015. Get one that's a 2019. Get whatever you want to get, but make sure it's a motor carrier's atlas, because the day that the GPS goes out will be the day that these are worth gold. They might be selling them for $100 for a burrito. Flat one like this might go for $150, because there won't be none in the truck stop to be had, and you can't move without it, right? Not without GPS. I'm going to explain to you what's going on and why you could possibly use GPS. I've already done a video on this. I will start this truck up for a second just to get some air going, and I'll get back to it. But people, they are effectively right now working against us, building, like I said back when I talked about the Shu Yen and the other one sent up by China. One of theirs has the ability to grab another one and let go of it several times. One of them blew up another one. Man, where's your cutter when you need it, right? And then I also talked about the Russians had a couple of satellites that they had put up. One was the Kamikaze. That was the Cosmos 2499. The other one was the Luch, and that's the one that shadowed some European satellites and stuff. All right, so here's the thing. Russia has now sent up. Well, technically, what did they send up? You know what I mean? How do you quantify? How do you explain that? I'm gonna turn this truck up, cut my cigar. We're gonna talk about this. This is my second JFR. I always get them in pairs. I showed one last night here. I'm just gonna cut this sucker and commit and cut. Yeah, it's a good cut. Good cut there, right? Okay, so like I said, how do you quantify? How do you say what went up? How do you say? Because they admitted to a launch date. They didn't say it was pregnant with twins. So basically, the Russians sent up a Soyuz 2 1V Volga rocket. Okay, so up goes the rocket, and at the tip of it, which would be the payload, they called that part the Volga upper stage. Okay, so keep in mind, this was going to be called the 2519 because all satellites in orbit are given a designation by a number. And so that's the 2519, 2519. Okay, but it was actually launched in June. That it was launched on June 23rd of 2017. So up goes the Volga upper stage separates, and it becomes 2519. Now that's in June of 2017. If I'm not mistaken, this is how this went. I may have the dates wrong. So in October of the same year, early in October, something strange happens. That satellite gives birth to another satellite. They didn't tell us this was going to happen. They said they were sending up a satellite. And I'll get this cooled off and I'll kill this motor again here and I'll finish this up. Let me get this cigar lit. So you got a 2519 satellite gives birth to another satellite. They called that one, because they found it and discovered what it was doing, they called that the 2521. What happened was they found another satellite and they said, when did y'all launch this? Russia didn't want to talk about it. Super hyper top secret, right? They don't want to talk about its intentions or anything like that. And our United States government has already talked about that in a Geneva conference of disarmament, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But back to the birth dates here. So like I said, it was launched in June, on June 23rd of 2017 was the 2519. Then it gave birth to the first one early in October of 2017, which is later on that year. And then this is the weird part. I'll shut this motor off here. After it gave birth, the 2519 gave birth to the 2521, The 2521 then gave birth to a smaller satellite. So did the first satellite have twins, or did it have its child and its child had its grandchild? I don't know, whatever you want to call this for a satellite. So the 2521, which is the first one that was born, then later that month gave birth, I guess it was Immaculate Conception, gave birth to the 2523. Now, what was designated 2522? Did it have triplets? Was there another one in between that we had to give that number? I don't know. But then the two babies, we'll call them the two babies, these little evil twins, if you call them that, basically they started reacting in a way that the first one actually was acting in an erratic manner. It was going around the first satellite and then back around, maneuvering like a jet airplane would, some weird movements. It was very capable. Then it gave birth to that other one, and they both stayed in proximity to the other satellite, and they both showed signs of being able to do what's called tight quarters flight. Okay, what it's actually designated as rendezvous and proximity operations, RPO. The Russian government spent a lot of money, okay, and that was looked into by another group that actually checks that out and sees where, what they're funding, and they funded it heavily. So basically they did a lot of research and development on how to teach one satellite to move within close proximity of another without hitting it, but being able to work around it and work on doing things to it. So okay, so after that one gives birth to twins, evil twins, they found out nothing moves like it. First, they first effectively found that it was a second satellite. Then they saw the third one. They started to raise their eyebrows about what exactly was going on with these evil twins, and how come we're having to give more designations to one spacecraft? Well, what's going on up there? So it gave birth in space. So they're calling the 2521 the Sputnik Inspector satellite. That was the first baby that gave birth to the 2523, which is called the Satellite Inspector. Kind of confusing, I know. And then they had a convention. It was a conference, a Geneva Conference of Disarmament, in August 14th, on August 14th of 2018. Now, of course, usually they don't put this on regular news media until later it comes out. You have to put these pieces together, so it's natural that that's actually less than a year, ago, about a year ago, almost a year. That's not bad for getting intel like this, and I had not heard of it, and I don't know anybody else that's talked about it, so I'm talking about it now to tell you what's going on. And it's Operation Hot Biscuit. I find out what's going on, and I do my best to put the pieces together. So what did happen was a representative from the US, I'm not going to quote people and drop names, but stood up and said, hey, look, basically she said that this is, in her words, a very troubling development. Okay, so if they're worried about it, then of course, everything that we've got is tied to it, which is the reason why I said, hey, you got to keep a map book, because we could lose GPS at any time. I did a video on this a while back, and I put links to it. I'll put a link to that video and to the links of the ABC News thing on it and all this, that we could lose the ability to use credit cards, satellite track, all kinds of stuff. Now, we have the ability to send up CubeSats, and our military would have them. Then that doesn't necessarily mean that your GPS device that you put up on your dash will work for you. So having said that, They said it was a very troubling development, and they basically wanted to know what the purpose was for it, okay, and why it was so secret that they were having those other two. Now, Russia wants to say it's just to inspect other satellites, but everybody questions that because the way they're able to move and maneuver. Um, and they the news Corps of Australia put out an article on it. There's a couple things that I found, and that was a picture of it, and for what they want to admit to what it has in it. It could have triplets at some time. You don't know how many's in there, and you don't know how many more they've created and sent up since then, because we're talking about almost a year ago. Like I said, you don't know what they've done. The last movement that I know of that I could find was when the one actually lowered its orbit. That was the 2521, the first one to be born of the 2519. So the 2521 lowered its orbit. So who knows what it's doing there? But they could possibly be sent up to reprogram our satellites, push them out of orbit, grab them and take them hostage, if that makes any sense. Which has got to be illegal for them to even grab hold of another one. I know that they've had the other ones that, they spiraled and, matched the orbit of our satellites and cozied up to them and listened, and then went to another one, and then went to another one, or actually from here to there and then over to this one. So I've got a video. I put the video up on that a while back. Just know that you need a map book, people. I can't stress it enough. If you do not know how to use one of these, you should learn as fast as possible, because we are not promised anything on our satellites. We never have been. So other than that, nothing moves like these other two satellites. And I mean, nothing. They said they've been tracking things in space for so long that they know nothing moves like it, because one was able to actually go around the satellite, then turn around and go back around the satellite, and now they say that those two have now left the mother satellite, and they're working in tandem. They're working together. On what evil purpose, we don't know. With that, I'm gonna get off this thing. I'm gonna drop it like that, and like I was saying, this is a look of it as best as I can give it to you, and in very, very Russian writing here. Let's see. Okay, well, it disconnected, but now it's actually clearer. I was just trying to zoom. So in very Russian writing here, that is what they are claiming is the would you call that a group of satellites? The mother, and I don't know what to say. So that's all I got for you, people, and hope everybody's doing good. Like I said, I hope you can use a map book, and I hope you own one, because they will be worth gold one day, and I'm saying that now. A very troubling development is how it was described at the Geneva Conference of Disarmament on August 14, 2018. So they are actively building satellites that disrupt and maybe move, destroy, otherwise grab other satellites. So people, I'm gonna get off this thing. I'm gonna do a live later on parts. Thought I would put this out here. Yeah, I'll put up a link to one report on it, and that's all I got for now. I could go into my other video. I'll put a link on my other video. That's what I'll do. So stay safe. I'm gonna get off this thing. I'm out. Peace.